Welcome to Chalk Talk. I'm Dave.
And I'm Josh.
We're breaking down college sports, our favorite team, Stony Brook University, the news, and everything that's going on with all the conferences and the business of sports.
On this episode of Chalk Talk, we are discussing the Pac-12 conference. What happened? Is it going to shut down? And how money is driving sports not only from an athletics perspective, but also from the conference's perspective.
Josh, you gotta tell me, Pac-12, the conference that's been there forever, almost a century, it's dying. I don't get it. What the heck happened with Pac-12?
So look, the Pac-12, it survived the Great Depression, two world wars, Cold War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, but I guess it just can't survive the war of TV deals.
TV deals, oh my god. This is killing Pac-12? What really happened that sparked this from it just starting to now it's completely falling apart?
So there are a few things. Some of this is poor management on the Pac-12, and some of this is kind of out of their control. So if you want to talk about some of the poor management sides of the Pac-12, let's start with the TV rights.
But wait, before even TV rights, didn't two teams just get up and leave, and that sparked this whole thing?
Well, yes, but the reason those two teams left was because of the TV rights deal.
Okay.
So basically the Pac-12 was trying to get a new TV rights deal from ESPN, and ESPN offered to give them $30 million per year per school.
And that was before USC and UCLA left to go to the Big Ten.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
And then the Pac-12 was like, you know what? I think we deserve a better deal. So they countered at $50 million per school per year, and ESPN said absolutely not, and just stopped negotiating, and that led to a lot of dominoes falling, including USC and UCLA leaving to go to the Big Ten.
Right. And then also now we had a whole bunch of teams leave to go to the Big 12 or the ACC.
So both actually.
Okay.
Some schools went to the Big 12 and some schools went to the ACC. So basically, after USC and UCLA left, at this point, a lot of schools started to see the writing on the wall at the Pac-12.
Okay.
Due to them no longer getting a TV deal.
Yeah, this is what drives conferences now. Media. If they don't have a good deal, that's not going to go. Because, didn't you tell me, I just saw it's billions of dollars for Big 10 and Big 12 these sign these deals?
Oh yeah, it is. It is billions and billions of dollars. And stay tuned. We're going to have a video on that.
Yeah, that would be a great video to really dive into about how conferences are now relying on everything doing it. We just talked about what this NCAA settlement is. And you can check our video there about the players in doing it. That's going to drive all this. So, but if we're talking about the downfall, one thing I think Pac-12 forgets, and I think we all have to remember, what drives money is football. And I don't know if I've said it enough. I will say it again. It's football. And if I can't tell you again, it's football. Football drives all money going to conferences. Because if you're going to see it, you'll see people going to watch Alabama and watch everybody else because they're the schools that people want to watch. Even my Stony Brook. You will see more people at that stadium than you do for any other sport. Football drives that. And you can't get good football teams hitting the winning and the nationals, that's going to be. Because it didn't Pac-12, when was the last time they actually made it to a championship game?
I've to be honest, it's been so long I don't even remember. it has been a while, and this is the Pac-12 as a Power 5 conference. This is a Pac-12 that teams should be making it to the national championships or to the semis or making deep runs in the college football playoffs. I should not be forgetting the last time that a Pac-12 team made it to the championships. That's one of the problems with
it's a big problem
with Pac-12.
I think it's a big problem now when you see all these people leaving. And then I read that Stanford and what the heck was the other name? California aren't getting a full revenue share from ACC for like 10 years.
Well, here's the thing. The Pac-12 was sinking, and it was about to sink to the bottom like the Titanic.
Titanic? Oh no, we don't need another Titanic. But this is just as bad. The conference is collapsing.
But yeah, so California and Stanford decided, let's get on some lifeboats.
Yeah.
And they looked for any deal they possibly could to join the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC. They were looking everywhere, and finally the ACC gave them a buoy and said, you can come to our conference, but there will be some ramifications and restrictions because we have some negotiating power because you need to join a new conference. So that's why they're not going to be receiving a full revenue share until the 10th season.
Now, I completely understand when you move conferences that happens, and California and Stanford, they can raise the money, and we know they can, so that's really important. But that's where the revenue is. And now, what's going to happen if now NCAA makes a settlement with Stanford and California if they have to pay their players and they're not getting a full revenue share? Where are they going to get the money?
Well, that is a good question. Granted, they do have good attendance numbers. They can raise the prices of going to games like football and basketball, and they might have to cut costs in other places to pay players. We'll see. With those schools, they're gonna be at a big disadvantage.
Oh, I know. It's gonna be a horrible disadvantage, and I think this is what's gonna happen. But do you really think now TV revenue drives all the other conferences?
Absolutely, 110%. It drives TV revenue drives conferences. It's not the other way around. And TV revenue also drives revenue for college athletics, because a lot of these massive TV deals, there's a lot of that money is going to individual schools. This is not like in the CAA where the CAA conference is holding all the money and then paying people like CBS Sports to host their games. For these TV deals, you'll have millions of dollars a year going to specific colleges.
Right. And that's what's happening with the mid-majors. So if you relate this back to the mid-majors, we're going to see that truthfully affecting all of it. Stony Brook's in the CAA, so we're following CAA basketball and football a whole bunch. As I said, football, it drives everything. And as you do it, you have to look at those media deals. And CAA basically pays CBS Sports to host X number of games for each team in the conference, which is great. We're really getting out there, and we're really trying to do it. And I think that's what the cornerstone of the mid-majors are. But now, with these Pac-12 dying, how is this going to impact these other conferences? And how are they going to survive so they don't have another demise, or we blow up another conference? Because if we start blowing up conferences, even the mid-major conferences, we're going to have a ripple effect throughout college sports.
That's true. But first, I want to say we are going to have a video about the CAA TV deal and why and why, because of that and other reasons, that Stony Brook decided to join the CAA. But to answer your question, there's not a lot of answers. Ever since COVID, there's been a lot of fluctuations within conferences, and no one's really sure who has the power. You saw hundreds of colleges go from conference to conference to conference, whereas before COVID, you maybe had one or two or three colleges per year going to a new conference. Now there's hundreds going to conferences, and to be honest, I don't really know what's going to happen. You could see maybe like the SEC become absolutely massive and take all the schools and get an even bigger TV deal than the one they have now, and then other schools and then other conferences can collapse.
But didn't you just say that one of the problems now with adding these schools to the Big 10 and Big 12, it's going to increase budgets of other schools that are in the conference, because now they have to travel around the nation. You're going to see Rutgers having to travel to California, and now they have to increase their travel budgets to start doing that. And now they make massive amounts of money, and we see that. But what's that impact going to be? And is the NCAA going to start contributing to help these conferences? Right now, that's a bigger question. When you're hitting the Final Four and the NCAA is making tons of money at the bowl games, they're making tons of money. When you see it at the Rose Bowl and everything else, how is the NCAA going to contribute? I think really we need to start having a better conversation where we're talking about where the NCAA falls in college athletics. Because if money's driving it and everybody's trying to get TV deals, these conferences are going to have more power than the NCAA. That's not good.
Well, that's exactly what's happening. And thanks to the settlement that we actually did a video on previously, this settlement really gave some power to these Power 5 schools, to Power 5 conferences, to really dictate where money goes.
Right. And where money goes is important.
Yeah, exactly. And again, the Power 5 conferences want more money to go to them versus other conferences where they think it's more of a sink, more of like cost of money. Like it costs more money than it's worth, right, to fund other mid-major conferences.
Yes, and mid-majors are vital and they're really important. But now, as we think about it, we see this. But there was one guy who was really crucial for everything that survived the big Pac-12. Who was that crucial guy who was the advocate that just kind of drove everything that kept Pac-12 together?
Oh, I see. You're talking about Bill Walton.
Yes, that's it, Bill. Yes, because I saw him recently on he recently passed away, which is kind of a sad thing. But wasn't he the spokesman for the Pac-12?
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he'd be announcing Pac-12 games. He would be constantly telling people Pac-12 is the conference to be. That's where he played his athletics in the Pac-12, and yeah, he was a big supporter for them, and he always cheered the Pac-12 on whenever possible. It is really sad and really unfortunate that the downfall of the Pac-12 coincides with his passing. It is really unfortunate.
Yeah, and when you have somebody who's so passionate like that, like Bill Walton, you really want to admire the guy, because he's the guy who drove the spokesman and the announcement and the advocacy for the conference. We have lots of people who do that for different conferences. When they do, you have to admire them, because they're really the cornerstone for the media and everything else. He actually played in the conference years ago, and he was an intercollegiate athletic athlete. That kind of thing really adds value when you start thinking about it. What's the impact at Stony Brook? Are we going to see any here?
So how this impacts Stony Brook is more of how this impacts mid-major conferences. So like you and I described, we're not really sure how this will impact conferences, but we do have some theories and some thoughts. My main thought is you're gonna have some conferences try to get as many teams as possible to try to increase their TV deals so they don't become the next Pac-12.
And I think also you're going to see some of the mid-majors starting to add even smaller schools, but in the regional. Make them more regional, because, one of the things we really didn't talk about was TV times. the one thing that drives all TV is East Coast viewers. We forget between Boston and DC, there is millions and millions of viewers who love sports. They drive all TV throughout the U.S. Everything's standardized on the East Coast time.
Right.
And if you're sitting in California, there are people who are not going to stay up in the East Coast time to see a game that starts at like 8 o'clock at night when it's midnight in the East Coast.
That's exactly right. And that was one of the big disadvantages that the Pac-12 had. That was not of their own doing.
Right. And I think that's a thing. I remember when we were traveling and we were in Iceland, and we were trying to coordinate so we could stay on East Coast time so we can watch the games. And when you start doing that, you realize when you're into sports, you're coordinating with what's going on in the East Coast time zone of the United States. That's what all sports are in the U.S. are geared towards. And that was a thing that happened. And I think when you start looking at the other conferences that are happening around the nation, especially the mid-majors, I think they're going to want to make sure that they have a few teams that are in the East Coast time zone.
That's exactly right. And that could make a school like Stony Brook, Hofstra, Charleston, and all these other like mid-major schools that could have aspirations to eventually join a power conference or a high major conference very, very valuable.
Right. And I think that's really the crucial point.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, I think we've beaten Pac-12 to death, literally.
And figuratively.
Oh, man. Well, I feel bad for this whole conference.
I feel bad. I feel bad too. But unfortunately, life moves on.
It does. And that's true. Well, I'm Dave.
And I'm Josh.
This is Chalk Talk. If you have any questions or comments, please put it in the comments below, and please subscribe. Thanks so much for your time.
All right, bye.